I guess we are ready to go. All right, so it's about the top of the hour six. Welcome, guys, to the What Next Live. So pretty much, this is what this live series is about. We are looking to share typically ideas and strategies that would help you achieve lots of things. My name is Gilead. They call me the Idea Bank. I do lots of stuff, but for the purpose of this, we'll be sharing tremendous ideas, and strategies that would help you. So if you checked in earlier and you're back, this is what we are going to be expanding on and walking you through. And the entire idea is to obviously this is not for everyone, right? So the entire idea is to help people who may be struggling with the idea or the battle of figuring out, do I want to jump into tech or not? And if interested in getting into tech, at which particular angle would you like to join in from? A lot of us have those questions, and usually the prevailing practice is whatever is hyped out, that's what everyone wants to learn. But I kind of have a completely different idea around that and perspective, and that is from my experience. It's easy for you to say, well, jump into data analytics, AI, or project management. Any of you who are familiar with some of those would know that these particular skills were kind of hyped up within last year and 2 years ago, but it almost seems as though the need or the demand for these skills have kind of nosedived, right? So it kind of helps you paint the picture of what I'm hoping that we'd all get to see and understand, particularly around specific skills and tech more specifically. You see, the thing about tech is that anyone can get in, but not everyone gets to stay, and probably because of the angle in which they jump in, and that's what we're going to be working through. I mean, through the rest of this series. Um, so this is how we're going to run this, right? I'm going to let's look at what we'll be walking through as far as breaking into tech is concerned. We're going to walk through these particular steps, and I'm going to help you understand why I feel this is like the perfect track to take so that you can get the actual results that you can get at record time, as against just picking up any skill that is popular and then, hoping and praying that something works out. I mean, life is too short to hope and pray that something works out. It's more more effective to be strategic about what you do and how you approach it. Make sense? Okay. So I've listed about 5 processes that I feel that you need to be able to walk through. But before I begin to break down what those 5 processes are, let me just give you some sort of a background. So if you take a look at my profile or maybe check the tap link that is there, you'll notice that I am a digital person. Maybe not the exact word I would choose. So I'm a two-time founder. I started digital marketing or digital skills and training and everything in between that sometime in 2006. So I've been an OG in the game, if I want to use that term. I actually launched my digital solutions company sometime in 2015. But before that, I've done several things in between that, from learning how to fix computers, learning A plus, taking, learning CCNA, becoming a network administrator, teaching in classrooms for literally okay, every class really. I think the only class I didn't get to teach was nursery, but I did lots of that, right? But the point is, I mean, with the experiences I've had, I kind of have seen technologies move over time, and I've seen the danger that comes with just following what's being hyped, as against just picking up something that you're genuinely interested in and then building up your portfolio or your skills stack around that. I've seen that when you're able to figure out the differences between both of them, you're able to grow. So aside from running or launching or growing a digital solutions agency, I've also created or co-founded a remote assistance company called iAssist Africa. So the initial company I mentioned is Gilead Systems, and ultimately what it just does is to provide digital solutions for businesses. So from websites to digital marketing services to funnels, to graphics design, stuff like that. So I have members of my team who help out with that. But I love to teach, so hence I am here. So anywho, so let's dive right into how I feel you should be able to break down or break into tech, especially if you are someone with little tech knowledge, or you are someone who is already in a completely different market or niche, but you're now trying to figure out how you can get into tech and actually make progress, right? Especially in the face of everything that's happening and all the tools that are happening. It's very important that you're able to get the results. So my first idea, or my first approach to this would be, obviously, for you to plan, right? And when I mean plan, I mean that you should be able to um, figure out what aspects of tech, or maybe the right term I would use is figure out the simplest way to use tech. Does that make sense? Let me explain. So let me just write this down first of all, figure out the simplest way to use tech. I kind of feel that this is like a very important area or perspective to approach this from, because success in tech is like a long-term plan, and if you are able to plan very well, there's a very, very high chance that you're going to be stupendously successful with it. So what do I mean by figuring out the simplest way to use tech? What I mean is this: if you're able to figure out the best way to use tech, chances are that you would be better positioned to know how to expand on that use case. Do you understand what I mean? So what I'm saying in essence is, if I understand how to use this remote, for example, right? And I mean, I don't know how to use this very well, even though I'm a techie, but stay with me here. If I were, or you were, to understand how to use this remote very well, right? There's a very, very good chance that you could literally come and show me things about how this remote works, or different use cases for this remote that even though I get to know how to maybe press play, use the volume or channels, would know. And what that means is, it becomes easier for me to stumble into issues and easily think, hey, who's the first person that can help me navigate how to utilize this remote? And I think about you. Do you get where I'm going with this? So what I mean, therefore, when I say that you need to figure out the best way to use tech is, there are loads of tools that tech has. I mean, from when I started back in 2006 till now, I have lost track of the number of tools and technologies I've used and forgotten about. And of course, you guys already see what's happening with AI now. What that also is telling you, that is that maybe you're already currently overwhelmed with all the tools out there. So you're using ChatGPT, you're using 11 Labs, you're using Manus, you're using Smith OS, you're using the loads and the loads of tools. And there's this question that many of you have not really thought about. And the question is, what's the long-term use case for all of these tools? Do you see what I mean here? So if you're able to figure out the simplest way to use tech, there's a good chance that the way you would express it in the long term will be unique. The way you're going to develop mastery around it will be special, and it is in that specialty that you would stand out in the crowd. That really is what many people struggle with when they say, I've learned data analysis, no job. I've learned project management, no job. I've learned web design, no job. I've learned virtual assistant, no job. It's literally because most people tend to approach this from what's the one that is hyped. And because it is hype, you just get to struggle. So again, when we think about this from the plan point of view, the goal therefore is when you figure out the simplest way to utilize tech, what typically happens is you now begin to enjoy using tech, which means that you are not necessarily driven now by the technologies that continue to be released. You are now driven by the technologies that help expand the area you're trying to express. Do you see what I mean there? And that's what makes people specialists, right? You may have heard the term of people don't necessarily hire generalists, but they hire specialists. So to a very large extent, this typically happens. So what does this mean for you? If you're able to make up a plan along the lines of what I mentioned, which was to find out the simplest use of tech for you, what then happens is it becomes easy for you to now entertain the question of, so which one should I focus on? What is it I should do? And the answer to that will no longer be, well, AI is trendy, so go do AI. Or data analytics is the one that gives you the most money, so go do that one. Or web design is trendy, go do that one. Or UI UX is something that everybody in my circle does, so go do that one. No, the conversation for you becomes, which is the easiest way I can get into tech so that I can get comfortable with utilizing it, then expand my knowledge from there. Do you see the point? So that for me is like the best way for you to get into tech. And I kind of think that back in the day, that was like the entire idea around the we did this with computer applications. So if you went to any computer school and you learned computer applications, or you did that thing they called diploma in computer, where you just basically learned computer application and learned how to use tools like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, basically the Office suite, right? Maybe PowerPoint. Which one again was that? Excel, right? And maybe some of you did Publisher. Abi, which other ones? Yeah, I think at one point we were teaching people how to just browse the internet. And then what was the other one? What am I missing here? Did I Publisher? Yeah, I wrote Publisher. Okay, let's just stick to let's stick to these ones for now. Now, funny story. If you think about all of this, if you had gone through any of this at all at the time, you would notice that to a very large extent now in the marketplace, businesses are now looking for people with these skills. But all of these particular skills now, everything here now, essentially now falls under what everybody now knows as the virtual assistant role. Yeah, it now falls under the role of virtual assistant. The virtual assistant understands how to use this. Maybe not every. A good virtual assistant knows how to use all of this. And if you are someone who is trying to figure out how to get into tech, or at what level, at what point you want to get into tech, I'm telling you that the easiest way for you to figure yourself out, or should I say test the waters, and then find out what is that thing that excites me about tech, that is it, virtual assistant. Now, I'm not trying to sell you virtual assistant course, no. I'm just trying to help you understand the thought pattern about how this translates to getting solid inside technology, inside tech tools, and utilizing them at a broader scale. That's what I'm saying here. If you understand what this translates to, then you will now begin to see how it connects. So let me just walk you through how all of this connects. So you're familiar with Microsoft Word, right? Or if you're not familiar with Microsoft Word, in most tech-related jobs, they are looking for people who know how to use Google or the Google Suite, right? Google Suite is essentially made up of the Google Editor, the Google Documents, Google Sheets, Google Slides, right? And some similar tools around that. Somebody who is familiar with those tools can easily fill the role of a virtual assistant, an office administrator, or stuff like that. But beyond that, at a much more deeper level, someone who already knows how to create documents and all of that can easily begin to develop proposals for businesses, can easily coordinate meetings, right? Coordinate events for organizations. That person can also find it easy to use tools like Notion, for example, right? To organize thoughts, to organize essentially things that go on in the team. Okay, and the same thing too applies to other tools. So like Microsoft Access. So somebody who is familiar with it already will have a good idea of how databases work. And so if the person were to be in charge of or is trying to do something around data analysis or AWS, the foundation that the person must have gotten on Microsoft Access makes it easy for the person to work with tools like that. Do you see what I'm driving towards? So the point being that if you are at a loss of not knowing, this would be where I would recommend that you begin your transition plan. And these are skills or tools that you can easily just figure out in a very, very short time. And so what that means therefore is if you want to get into tech at the very, very easiest and best entry point, taking a virtual assistant course, not the type that is not valuable, not the type that is not productive. I mean, a full course that is robust, that actually walks you through. If you are somebody who already had taken this particular courses before, then you pretty much are a virtual assistant. It's not that no one has told you yet, but pretty much that's what it involves because you're not going to be looking at how to utilize that. Now, when you are already done, with picking up all of these skills, the next thing you want to do, sorry, I don't need to go back to my notes here, is to build a portfolio. Okay? You need to build a portfolio. And the reason why you need to build a portfolio, which is where lots of persons struggle, is that without a portfolio, nobody knows what you've done. Nobody knows what you've achieved. Nobody believes that you can do it. That's just the thing. So let's say no one would believe that you can do it if you can't show it. Capish? Aha. So it's basic. It's that simple. No one will believe that you can do it if you cannot show it. And that's where your portfolio is coming. Now, I understand that when you take some of these courses, you're generally in a rush so that you just need to get stuff done and get started and begin to build. But if you skip this step, it's going to be a huge disservice for you going forward and getting anything done. So you definitely need to have a portfolio that you can show. Now, when you have that portfolio, it becomes easy for you to begin to let me not use the word show off, but demonstrate your expertise, or should I say, speak confidently about what you know. Do you get that? If you have something, if you have a portfolio of stuff you've done, it's easier for people to say, okay, can you tell me what I've done? And you just share them. Okay, so I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that. And it becomes easy for people to say, this person actually knows what he or she is doing. Do you see the point? So that pretty much is the case, which then brings the next idea of what you need to have. That is to have a community. Lots of persons who have made it in tech and gotten the right results in tech have always been part of a community. So I'll tell you a brief story about the time when shortly after I had launched my digital solutions agency back in 2015, right? The My first set of clients actually came from Facebook, right? And not just because I was posting on my Facebook profile, but because I was part of some specific communities where I showcased what I could do. But here's something that I did in those communities. So I went to those Facebook communities and I took out time to record myself and explain why recorded myself editing a client's website. Okay, as I was explaining how the entire pages were set up, I was explaining how to add the pages, how to edit the pages, and how to upload, and just generally create all the sections and all the whole elements for that particular page. And these were 5-10 minute videos, so I had all of those ones just set up there. And after I think I did about three. I did about three of such videos. After I did those videos, just basically explaining that the first person reached out and asked a question about I have that she had a challenge with her website and asked if it was something I could look into. And mind you, this was barely. I just started designing websites. And so I would not say I was really experienced, but that was essentially what I did. But because I showed through those videos that, okay, there was experience here, this person certainly knew what he was talking about, it was easy for the client to trust me and, reach out. And we troubleshot her website, figured out what the bug was, sorted it out. I think the task then was to redesign the layouts and stuff. It was an e-commerce website. So after redesigning it, and it kind of came out better, the client, after a couple of months, came back and said, wait, if you can do this, it means that you can help me create a new one, right? So pretty much that's how I got in. But what's the point? That portfolio you have should be able to be showcased in a community. Do you see that? Not on your profile. 9 times out of 10, your followers are mostly going to be, for those of you who are just trying to pay attention to tech now, there's a very good chance that majority of your followers and friends are just family and friends. And you and I know that family and friends don't almost always buy from you. So if you have family and friends just in your profile, there's a very good chance that it will work, which is where communities come in handy. So what communities will do for you is give you a direct access to strangers who do not know you, but are likely going to want to, pay attention to what you share and not necessarily judge you or underrate you or basically say, I know with this one I just start now. They are more likely to want to check you out, see what you're doing, and perhaps give you a shot. Do you understand? And this can apply to community members that might be looking for individuals they'd like to hire, or community members that may be looking for people they would want to work directly with. Do you see? So if you think about it from that point of view, you can see that the trajectory within which you're breaking into tech and then getting results from tech becomes a little bit predictable. You can easily know, okay, from here, I can get here, I can get there, and then I can get results. Do you see? So ultimately, what are we saying here? If you're trying to break into tech, resist the temptation. I'm begging you now. I'm saying this clearly now. Resist the temptation to jump into tech through the trendy tools or through the trendy technologies. Don't jump into tech through there. I know it might sound like maybe discouraging, but I honestly feel that, or believe, not feel, it's not a feeling, it's actually the truth. Everybody I know that have tried to get into tech through the one that is trending, they basically just got stuck after 3 months. And that's because they got in, their motivation was, I would blow from this. They were not excited, they were not interested about it. So there really was no incentive, especially when stuff got harder. Do you see? So when stuff gets hard and you've not really settled in to an aspect of tech that actually just, feels like you will struggle. You get me? You will struggle and come up. Okay, let me tell you another story. This one is personal. So remember I was telling you that I started with creating websites for clients, right? The part I didn't tell you is that the aspect of websites I started creating were the part that I was familiar with, right? The part of websites that I am familiar with is not software development, but one where you just code the entire thing using okay, let me not HTML, CSS, they are simpler, but using languages like Python, JavaScript, and all of that. So true story, I tried. I will not lie, I tried. Even when at the time when Andela were doing their home study setup, I signed up for Andela. Maybe that was the closest I got to actually getting good with software development and web development. But Allah, I tried. The truth is, dream is something. It just, I tried my best. I did everything in my power to make the thing enter. It was just bouncing off. It was just bouncing off. Maybe because the resources available were resources I struggled to assimilate, or maybe because it just no green. It just no green. And so the aspect that I knew I could do was the one that just focused on no code. So I used no code tools to create websites, to create my designs, and then generally get stuff for people. And that was something that was easy. That was easy for me to do, given that when I actually got into tech, I loved to draw. I loved designs, so I easily picked up designs. And so when I saw that it was easy for me to use tools like WordPress, Lead Pages, Thrive, and all of them to create websites by just drag and drop and just do the design, that was easy. So that's how I did my web. But the development part, I struggled. Bring me enter. So that's what I'm telling you now. So if you're going to come in, please, yes, as a developer, you can make money. But as a designer, you can also make money. As somebody who just comes up with the ideas, you can make money. As somebody who maybe you don't have the ideas and all, but you are good at organizing, you can project manage, you can focus on that. So it's really a thing about finding what you are comfortable about, the one that is your comfortable. Like people will say, find your passion. So maybe many will feel it's a bit underserving when they say find your passion. So let's not use find your passion. Let's say find a comfortable entry point. Okay. So when you're able to find that, it becomes easy for you to break in. So if you are a beginner, like ground zero beginner, again, my favorite or my best bet for you is go and take a virtual assistant course. Please be sure that it's not just a random valueless virtual assistant course. I know there are plenty of them out there that are just all hype and zero value. Okay, if you do not know any, I would recommend that you go to any computer school near you and go and tell them you want to learn computer applications. I think some of their courses, if they teach you all of this, you already have everything that the virtual assistant is expected to learn, and then you can easily now just brush up on some of those final things, and you should be fine with your portfolio. Do you see? So pretty much that's that, and of course you build your portfolio. All right. Okay. We are closing in on about 15 minutes. I do not know if you have any questions. So if you have any questions, you could mention them in the chat. I will be happy to respond to them. If you're just joining us, this was what we were talking about, how to break into tech as a beginner. So if you're an expert, this is not for you. These are for beginners. Okay. So if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them below. I would see if it's possible to publish this live much later so that you could have a full you could enjoy the entire thing from start to finish. Okay. All right. I like to do this whenever I teach something to hype you. So I'm going to put something for you to be hyped about before we wrap this up. Okay. So it's just something I always enjoy to do. This one is titled "Go Hunt Your Dream." So enjoy. At the end of the track, about 4 minutes time, I will close the live. Of course, if you do have any questions, I can still come back and respond to them. So thank you for tuning in. I was supposed to close out with something. I can't remember what I was supposed to close out with. Let me look for that. I need to close out with that and then edit this out. Oh shit, can't find that. Okay, let's close out with "Go Hunt Your Dream." Okay, and see you on the other side.